know, my name is Neil Thrussell, and I hounded, maybe I badgered just a little bit Susan. I said, it's February, I want to talk on love. Please, please, please. And she's like, well, I don't know the speakers. If I'm not one of them, I know where you live. By the way, I don't know where she lives. But she didn't need to know that. So finally she said, okay, we can talk about February and we can talk about love. And she says, so what do you want to talk about? And I went, well, that's really easy. Love, because it's not for the faint of heart. Like, really, it's not. To me, it's a full-fledged combat sport. It is. I can love you. And in the beginning, the relationship is beautiful. And then a couple of years later, where now the honeymoon is over. It doesn't matter whether it's a romantic relationship or it's your friends from school or it's your parents. There is this period of time. Love and romance and the feelings of love follow almost a cycle of us growing up, from adolescence, from babyhood to our 20s. We all go through the terrible twos. Every relationship goes through a period of the terrible twos, where the honeymoon is over. In order to get past that, we have to learn whatever we did before wasn't enough. We have to learn about ourselves. Every parent here knows that when they're with their little 1-year-old and it's all beautiful. And then the terrible twos hit. And then they have to adjust who and what and how they approach this bundle of love. You're in a romantic relationship with another. The honeymoon phase is gone. How do you continue? And if it is to continue, it's because you as a couple and you as a person have gone deeper. You've learned to express yourself in a different way. It's no longer this carnal physical attraction. It's actually you're really now getting to know each other and you're really getting to be able to express yourself. Your truth is finally coming to the surface. So I don't know if I truly am the right person to talk about love. I've only been married for 33 and a half years to the same woman. So I can only talk about love.
Beautiful number.
I don't know what it's like to love a child. I don't know what it's like to want to strangle the little bones from that place of love. Because really, we have their best interest in mind. When they're back talking, I don't know what it's like to love a second or a third or a fourth wife. I don't know what it's like to love someone else's children as they bring in to a new relationship. I don't know what it's like to love someone in a romantic way of the same sex. But I do know, in all of my years of coaching, love is love. And so I'm going, so what is love? And of course I go to the dictionary, and I go to the good Oxford Dictionary, and the Oxford Dictionary gives me the most blasé definition of love. An intense feeling of deep affection. Really? An intense feeling of deep affection. We go to war. We fight. It is a combat sport. When someone we love terribly takes it away from us, we want to fight. We want to be in that moment. We want that back desperately. Countries have gone to war in medieval times. We've gone and slapped and killed each other. We've done terrible things for love. And even more, just as important, when we're young, we have done terrible things to our personal development, our soul, for affection, the love of a parent, the love of a partner, we've done terrible things to feel this love. They did an experiment in Romania where they put babies, because there were just so many when Romania was under the dictatorship. There were just so many babies in the nurseries because they were abandoned because people couldn't afford to feed these children. They left babies. Basically no physical touch, no love. They just flipped their baby diapers in, boom, stuffed a bottle in, and they were done. And then they had babies that were loved and cared and talked to. I don't even have to tell you because you've already surmised which ones actually turned out fairly normal and which ones sort of didn't. So I'm going, so what is love? And I had to go back to the Greeks. The Greeks came up with 8 beautiful definitions of love. And they came with eros, the erotic love, that primal, that passionate love that in your most romantic pieces, that we feel right at the beginning of most relationship. And what happens with it? It goes away. Burns out, because we can't keep that intensity. But yet, in a romantic relationship, in a couple relationship, what is it that we're looking for? We want to keep that alive. For years and years and years and years, we always want to go back to, oh, I remember when it was, but it's not sustainable. The next form is asphilia. It's the love we have for our friends. That's really starting to be love. And it's your best friend. I'm still best friends with my friend from high school. When I met him when I was 12. That's 44 years ago. I still talk to him. Then there's storge, which is the family love. Mother to child, child to mother. And it's intense. My mom died 16 years ago. I never knew the intensity that I could love my mother. My mother had martyrdom syndrome. She would, very dramatic, but it was her and who she was. I didn't know this at the time, so I resented it. She's always all about her. But my mom smoked, which led to a heart attack, which led to kidney failure, which led to she was on dialysis, which led to the fact that she was not able, she wasn't allowed, she wasn't a candidate for kidney transplant. So she struggled through this for 4 years. And then she said, I've had enough. So now I have my dad having to face the fact, this woman that he's been married to for 40 years said it's enough time for me to go. Then I have to support my dad to say it's time to go. I don't want my mom to die. Because really, if I say yes, I'm pulling the trigger. I'm unplugging it. So I have to allow it. Why? Because it's not my life. To love someone that deep, because it's not my life. We held a conversation of why. My mom was an adventurer. She was born in the States, moved to Scotland because of her Scottish ancestry, took nurses training, and in the 50s rode her bike all around Europe. Completely opposite of my dad, who was a farm boy and never left the farm. Love comes in different flavors. I had to let my mom die. It's a beautiful experience. I miss her every day. But I needed to step up. So I really don't know what love is about all of what you're going through. I can only share that I know what love is for me. So ludus is the playful love. It's the next step after you've burnt out all your carnal energy, and you're now seeing these couples, that are now in the next stage of their relationship. They're playfully looking at each other and lovingly, and adoration is just beaming over. And to some people they're going, because it's just like way too much. We all went there. And it's also in the stage when you're with your friends. You just want to be with them, and you're just crazy and you're silly and you're doing silly things. So this Luda stage comes, I think, between the ages of 2 to 10 or 11. Maybe even earlier, because it depends on where puberty sets in, because it's even earlier now than when I was a kid. This is where you're enjoying the relationship, you're re-exploring it. And then the Greeks came up with that there's a fifth type of love, and it's called mana, or obsessive love. Does anyone remember the movie Fatal Attraction, which was Glenn Close? And that to me is a beautiful example of what mana love is, but if you don't want it, you don't want to be part of that. And then, because I'm not really good with languages, this one I had to practice, and I will still massacre. Philatia, or philatia, the Greek called it self-love. We come to a place where we start to recognize and we love ourselves. For you to be here, to be on a spiritual journey, at some point in time, you've put that toe in the water and you went, there's more to life. I love myself enough that I need to know what there is in life for me to explore. So you come to this community. Most people will say that it's a beautiful community and it's full of love. We're all on the same journey of self-love. We're speaking little different dialects of it. We're all on the same journey. And then there's pragma, the enduring love. 33. I actually was going to calculate all to the hours, but I'm like, oh man, I couldn't. I'd have to write it out, and it's like, no. But it's a long time to be married. And I'm trying to be silly here, but think of it as this way. I've been married to the same woman for 33 and a half years. Pick a buffet and go to the same buffet for 33 and a half years. It takes some commitment, and which is why I'm saying it's not for the faint of heart. You have to be creative and you have to be respectful for yourself and another. To willingly get up every day and go, well, I know where I'm going for supper. Right? You have to be willing to take life and be adventurous. As soon as you start to be in that little square, in that little box, and not change anything, and not be willing to try new things, you could go to a buffet, and there could be 150 things, but if you only have the same 30 things, it's not as good as if you tried all of the things on the buffet. It takes courage. This is the start of the stage of the teenage years. In order to get past into enduring love, you have to get past the teenage years. And it's hard. We've been married 15 years. And I don't know if I saw the writing on the wall. I don't know if I was just completely blind to it. But this is my version of how it occurred. And Tina's version could be entirely different. But it was pretty much, so how was your lunch with, and she went out with a friend, and his name was Doug. And she went out with a lunch with a man named Doug, and she goes, "It was really good. But I think I need to step away from this relationship. I don't know who I am. And I think I just want to jump on the back of the motorcycle with Doug and discover who I am." That's my version. Because that's what I heard. And all I could do, besides go, "What the?" just go, what? No, after I did all of that, it's like, well, how can you go find yourself on the back of a motorcycle when you can't even find yourself where you are right now? Wherever you are, wherever you go, you still are. Doesn't matter, you can go and travel the world, but you are still going to be there, and all those other adventures are just going to color and stop you from really taking the time to examine who you are. If I am anything in the whole wide world, I am a fast talker. And I should have been in sales. Because when I put my mind to it, it was like I had all the arguments and everything, and all Tina could do was go, I have no answer to that, and you're right. So from that moment, we started anew. And we really got into our spiritual practices. Really. It was no longer like, yeah, okay. It was, we really took it to heart. Because it was worthwhile to me. I'd already invested 15 years of my life, and I don't know about you other men, but training a wife is very difficult. Because they think that they're in charge. And she did, by the way, she did give me permission to say that. So then there's one last one, and it's agape. Selfish love. No, it's all about me. Yes, selfless love. And that's, I think everyone in this community, that's where they want to go. And I suspect we all have moments of absolute brilliance where we sit in that, where we are completely 100% in it. 1,000,000%. And then to some various form we wake up. Something jumps in our way. And all I can say is if you remember that love is a full combat sport, and you need to exercise to stay in shape for it. You need to do the work behind it to stay in that place of love. And the hardest thing to do in love is to completely surrender. Completely surrender. So even though I'm telling you it's a combat sport, I'm also telling you on the same hand, the other hand, to completely surrender. You are blessed to have the feelings that you have without judgment to them. You are blessed. Experience them to their fullest. And surrender. Completely surrender to love. Thank you.